Hello all, this is Dr. Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3, and in this particular video, I want to talk to you about being a YouTuber in your 40s and why you might want to consider being a YouTuber in your 40s. So, if you don't know me, I am an associate professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity platform to give back as much as I possibly can. There were so many people that helped me out that I wanted to pay the favor for it and help you out. And I'm on a run right now, and I decided to do this video. It's a great time to do it. It's beautiful Sunday morning. And I really want to talk to you about what it's like to be a YouTuber in your 40s and why you actually want to do that. So the first thing is, when you are a YouTuber, I think the biggest thing that's the biggest challenge for most people is that we like to put on some sort of act. And I tend to do that as well from a lot of times, right? So I'm naturally an introverted person. So what you want to be when you're a YouTuber is try to be as much of yourself as possible. In fact, I see that when I first started. You can watch the older videos. When I first started out, I was talking a lot about my things with my research. So I study innovation and things like that. And it doesn't necessarily get a lot of traction. And there's a reason for that. The reason is that there's lots of other people that are talking about that kind of stuff, right? So YouTube is a marketplace. So you probably have heard of different analogies with YouTube, but the one that I personally like the most is that it's a marketplace. And it's a marketplace for information. And what that means is that there's supply and demand for information. And so what you have to look for is moments where there is not a lot of supply and lots of demand. And a lot of that actually has to do with just being real and being very, very authentic with what you're doing, right? So not a lot of people are going to talk about their feelings, particularly, as a professor, or if you are doing something in your sort of professional realm as somebody that is doing, just talking about the difficulties of being a lawyer, being a medical doctor, all those kind of things where you're being very, very authentic and very real as much as you can. I know some of those professions, it's difficult to be authentic because we have, you have different oaths and stuff like that. But, doing those things where you're leveraging your authenticity actually gets a lot more people excited, because what it's doing, and I'm sure you're feeling that right now, is that it feels a lot more like a conversation. It's a lot more of a bond, where we're just kind of chatting with friends. And that's the way that I like to do YouTube at this moment. I like try to be as sort of friendly as possible. One of the things with a lot of these professions, if you're going to be a YouTuber when you're 40s, that might be the thing that you talk about, right? Because that's a big part of your life, is you talk about your professions and whatever the thing that you're interested in. But a lot of it, a lot of people seem that we have to be very professional, and to show what the real world is like in the profession, kind of like the water cooler gossip. I don't know if anybody does water coolers anymore, but just kind of being a natural human being where you're telling the ins and outs actually gets a long way with a lot of people, because that's what they look for in YouTube. Is you can imagine the people that are doing the YouTube thing and watching YouTube. They're watching it in the middle of the night. They're often asking different questions about the profession, about difficulties that they have. Maybe they themselves are in the profession and they're dealing with all those different issues. Maybe that they, dealt with different clients and things like that were difficult to deal with, and people are really looking for that kind of stuff. So I'd encourage you to do that. The other thing, so the second thing I want to point out is that a lot of people truly underestimate the power of YouTube, the power of sort of social networks and stuff like that. I did a poll. You can go into the reciprocity community, where I asked the group of people on the community, and ask them, so the YouTube community, so there's a community tab, I don't know if you know that, but if you're just starting out, you could go there, and I just asked them if professors recognize the power of YouTube. And I don't think, and most people, I think there was about 60% of the people said that most professors actually don't recognize the power of YouTube. I think some people do. I think that they can clearly see that there is value there. But a lot of it is, the value is not being generated in sort of commercial value, in the sense that, that you're going to make a lot of money off of YouTube. So that's probably the third thing I'm going to go to. is that you truly don't make a lot of money off of YouTube when you start out. I've been doing this for about 3 years now. It's a lot of fun and I get a lot of enjoyment. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. But at the same time, you really don't get a heck of a lot at the beginning. Maybe it's a lot like everything else where you're building reputation, credibility, and things like that, where eventually the financial rewards are at the end. But at the beginning, you really don't get a lot of stuff. So don't expect a lot. So what I want to come back to is that the value that you're generating is the sort of relational field that you have with other people, right? So you might get an additional client because they see that you're kind of a decent human being, for example, or maybe you just get you're just putting goodwill out into the universe, and a lot of stuff happens with that. You become sort of part of the zeitgeist where people are just having a conversation. They said, did you watch this particular video? And people talk about that. There's a realtor in town. So I live in Tallahassee, Florida, and in this realtor, Manusa, you can look him up. He's really kind of interesting. He's been doing sort of social networking and having this large blog. And anytime that anybody talks about what is going on in the real estate gig, I always kind of default to what he is saying, because or what he is doing, because he posts a lot of information about the Tallahassee market in different parts. And that is kind of nice to have, because you can see what is going on in the marketplace, right? So just being in the zeitgeist makes me think of him whenever there's real estate transactions that are going on. And that's a really important thing. I think not everybody is going to go to that particular individual, but at the same time, you might think about that particular individual and have them as a reference case or the reference set for when you go and make decisions based on, choosing real estate agents and stuff like that. So it's definitely in my reference set for real estate deals. But, at the same time, you make a lot of different decisions in different ways, right? So, and the third thing I want to point out is with YouTube videos, is that you're not going to expect a lot, or you shouldn't expect a lot when you first start out with this, right? It is challenging. You're going to put out, don't expect anything to go viral in any sort of way. That's not the way that YouTube works. So viral is kind of a weird, interesting thing, right? So there's not really a clear definition of what viral means, in the sense that if something blows up, but it takes 3 years to blow up, and you get, people are watching it. So the average views on YouTube, if you didn't know this, most people only get like a couple hundred views at most on any particular video. So anything that gets over a couple hundred views might be considered over its lifetime, might be considered viral, right? That people are actually watching that thing and they get value from that. So I want you to consider that. You're not going to get a lot of sort of quote unquote traction when you start out. And what you should be doing is just kind of paying attention to what people are thinking about and what they're doing when you do these YouTube videos. So there's a lot of videos out there that have all this kind of guru stuff and how to do YouTube videos and stuff like that. And I watched a bunch of those, and I love them. They provided a lot of value, but at the same time, I don't think that's the way that a lot of this works in terms of YouTube videos. I made a really, really old video a long time ago about Polya earn processes, and that's what a YouTube video is like, is that it's not a random process in any sort of way. It's a random process, but it's generating different numbers than you might expect, and it's called a Polya earn process, mathematical thing. But anyways, you can think about it in a completely different way, where it's reinforcing dynamics that you get, right? So this is what happens in a lot of life. It's not sort of normally distributed where you'd expect things to happen kind of at random, but instead it's a building process that happens, and you have this sort of dynamics where you put out a video, you might not get any views on that, but if you put out 10 different videos, a couple of them get a few views, and then people watch those other videos that you put out, and you continuously do that, and it grows and it builds like that. Just like you're building a business, just like you're building whatever it is around you, this does happen. That's how it plays out. And that's the kind of things I want you to expect. And the last thing is, and I think this is what's holding a lot of people back from doing this, because I think there's a lot of value that's here. And it's a part of being authentic too. And that's why I was going back to the first point. And the last thing I want to point out is that when you do these YouTube videos, just expect that it's going to be tough for all of us to get sort of authentic and to be real as much as we can, because it's videotaped, right? So people are going to watch this stuff, and you're going to be a little bit afraid to do these kind of things. You're going to want to put on sort of, look proper and stuff. So I do a lot of videos where I look proper. I'm in a suit. And the reason I do that is because more people watch them. They think that professors, for example, should be always in a suit. I don't know why. I think that's just what people think. So we're not most of the time. And so being the sort of more authentic self like this takes a lot of work. It is a challenge for all of us because we think that other people are judging us, and they are. But what you have to sort of get over is the fact that you just don't care what other people are doing and saying, right? So the more that you get into that, it's kind of like Gary Vee. I've been into Gary Vee lately. You can watch some of his videos. Don't watch them if you don't, if you like get issues with curse words and stuff like that. So, but he makes a lot of good points with some of this stuff. A lot of it's in your head, and what you have to do is just do the thing and just get used to doing the thing and not really care what other people say. It's nice to get positive comments, but at the same time, you're going to get some negative comments. And what I do with those negative comments and sort of haters and stuff, I just delete it. It doesn't matter. Sometimes I'll just write, I'll call them out and I'll say, the issue is more you than it is me. And it truly is, right? So if somebody's going to put an anonymous comment that is negative, and that they're going to hate on you for whatever reason, they have a lot of issues. Most people that are decent human beings are not going to do that kind of stuff, right? So, all right, so that's all I wanted to talk about. And if you're, thinking of being a YouTuber in your 40s, there's a tremendous amount of value that's there. It's exciting. I'm 40, by the way. I forgot to tell you that at the beginning. And it's exciting, it's fun, and it's just kind of interesting. It's kind of a goofy thing to do. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.